Hi, everybody. This is Maxine Taylor with another look at Donald Trump's chart. Today is December 21st, 2016, and I thought we might take a look at what's going on from today until the inauguration in Donald Trump's chart. Because after the inauguration, it's a whole new ballgame, right? Speaking of the inauguration, I have two potential charts for the inauguration. We will not know the exact moment that he takes his oath of office until he takes it. And so I looked back at some older inauguration videos, and I saw that the actual inauguration, the oath of office, taken by the incoming president occurred at least 30 minutes into the televised program, sometimes a little bit later. We have no idea how long that's going to be, but I do promise you that when that happens, I will have the entire chart. Excuse me. I'll have his inauguration chart in front of me, and it will describe his 4 years in office. Now, I do have two potential inauguration charts, and I really don't think that the first one is going to happen, simply because of all of the pomp and circumstance involved in the inauguration of our president. The first one is for 12:15 p.m. on the inauguration day, and you notice that the sun, those of you who study astrology, is right up there at the midheaven, which is the public image. The sun is the center of life. The midheaven is leadership. It would be a wonderful thing for any president to be inaugurated with the sun on his midheaven. However, because of all of the proceedings, that may not happen. So here's a chart for 12:30 p.m. Now I want to show you that every planet is exactly the same. In other words, they're in the same house, except for the sun, which in the later chart moves into the 9th house of foreign countries, travel, communication on a grander level. So I'm going to have to wait. We're all going to have to wait until he takes his oath of office, and then I'll be back with you guys. I also want to mention that the inauguration diurnal for Trump has transiting Mars right on his ascendant, and this is an indication that this is a personal victory for him. I've said this on all of my videos. That's not a criticism. It's simply what Mars on the diurnal ascendant means. Now, at the very same time, those of you who study astrology, if you have progressed his chart, you know that his progressed sun is sitting on his ascendant this year. So this is a year of his coming into his own. It is not anything related to a career, to the people. It is a personal victory for Donald Trump. There's no judgment on that. That's just simply what it is. Now, let's take a look at what's actually going on right now in his chart so that we work our way up to January 20th, and I will be back with you after the inauguration, probably the day of, once I get the exact minute he takes his oath of office. The eclipses in our charts, they're very powerful. I'm a big eclipse watcher. Whenever an eclipse occurs, things happen big time in our lives. It depends on what area of our birth charts are triggered. Okay, I'm going to go back to the August and September eclipses that we all experienced, because eclipses are strongest 3 to 4 months after they occur. We had three, one in August, 2 in September. They are in effect until the next eclipses come along, which are in February, but they're at their peak right now. Here is what is going on in Donald Trump's chart. First of all, the August eclipse. It triggered a lovely public image for him, but problems with authority figures. It shows him getting down to business and spending less time behind the scenes and more time working the crowd, so to speak. The September 1st eclipse helped him do his thing his way. It was another first house eclipse. I say another, it was a first house eclipse. The other part comes with Mars on his diurnal ascendant and the progressed sun on his natal ascendant. So he's doing his thing with lots of communication. Now the September 16th eclipse is a very interesting one. It falls right on his 8th house cusp. The 8th house is the house of other people's money. It deals with secrets. It deals with privacy. It deals with transformation. But anything that occurs in the 8th house is hidden. So this deals with joint finances, whether we're talking about the finances from his businesses that his children will be dealing with, or whether we're talking about the finances from other countries that Trump will be dealing with. The emphasis of this eclipse, without going into too much astrological jargon, because I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with astrology, the emphasis of this is his own financial situation. So dealings with other people financially, focused on increasing his own income. Once again, this is simply the eclipse emphasis being in his 2nd house. Any astrologer can tell you 2nd house deals with your money, your income, your values, and your possessions. So that's what's going on right now. This also creates a problem for him as a leader and with his domestic situation. And when we look at the domestic situation, that area of life also deals with real estate. So we're talking about home, family, emotional security, and real estate. We're talking about 4th house matters. Those of you who study astrology, Saturn is sitting on his south node moon. This means he's looking very realistically, very tangibly, very practically at all domestic issues, whether they are business real estate, his own real estate, whether he's going to move into the White House, whether his family is going to join him. That's what we're talking about here. Once again, we do not know how this is going to manifest. We have to wait and see. I am, though, going to give you a sneak peek at something very interesting in Donald Trump's chart, which I will be covering when it occurs. In fact, I'll be following his chart on a regular basis through the next 4 years. In April of 2017, a few months into his presidency, when Mars sits on his midheaven, this is him throwing himself into the lead slot with a passion. At the very same time, in April, Mercury is retrograde, Venus is retrograde, Jupiter is retrograde, Saturn is retrograde, Pluto is retrograde. 5 out of 10 are retrograde. This is a time of redoing, rethinking, revamping, revisiting, replanning, not beginning new projects, not with Mercury and Venus retrograde, but tying up the loose ends of unfinished projects and maybe rethinking them. With Mars on his ascendant, he will really assert himself publicly in the lead slot. Only time will tell what the events will be leading up to that. And as I promised you, I will be following all of these events very, very closely. So, till we talk again, may the stars shine brightly on you and yours and the United States of America.